Welcome back to the Skyriver Cantina podcast. We're here to talk about ships, ground ships, droids, stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much. So, it's Zane Royals and Dan the Man here with you to do that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna be doing size. I'm gonna be doing the Imperial /
Separatists.
Yeah, Separatist side.
So basically, all the evil douchebags in the galaxy.
The light and the dark side.
And I'm going to be doing all of the Rebel Alliance.
Why are you saying douchebags? We're not douchebags.
Hold on now, you haven't let me finish about the fucking Rebel douchebags.
We're trying to make.
I mean, okay, hold on a minute. Technically, the Empire is douchebags, and the Rebels are scum. So there you go. Either way, I mean, so it's the Rebel scum and the Imperial douchebags. You know, so
we're good people.
You said we're good people.
What do you want to say?
So I'm gonna do Rebel Alliance ships and Republic ships. Jedi Starfighter, might throw that in there, and it's also kind of like a Sith and Jedi thing too. We did do a little bit of looking up, but some of the things that I wanted to talk about, apparently there's not a lot of information on them. So I've just decided to kind of wing it on my ships a little bit because there's not very much to talk about on each one, so I may bring up a few more ships because I'll just kind of get into a thing and go on a few of them. But I do know that Zane over here has some very specific ones that he wanted to talk about.
Well, as we were going with ships, I wanted to go with the Maleficent from the Clone Wars era. It's a pretty long ship with 2 ion cannon beams. Is that what they were called? Yeah, 2 mega ion cannons on either side of the ship.
Yeah.
Which is basically a big power circle type energy thing that shoots out of the ship and shuts down all power and all life support, everything from the ship that it's getting in contact with.
What it is it's basically a targeted EMP pulse.
Yeah.
It's an EMP cannon. Like, for us, we got some EMP, like, they're starting to just come out with some EMP weapons and things like that that are very targeted. That's what an ion cannon is. And the Maleficent has 2 huge ones, one on each side, designed to just knock out large areas with ion blast. Because, as he said, it fries the electrical system. So, like, a nuclear explosion goes off, an EMP pulse goes off when that happens, and it would fry all electrical in the area.
Yeah, which would make them dead in space.
Except for things that don't have integrated circuits. Because that's...
As in...
So, like circuit boards. So, hardwired things don't get affected as bad by an EMP pulse as like our cell phone would. So if you have like a car from 1930 and you have your cell phone and you're driving down the road and an EMP pulse goes off, your cell phone's going to fry. Your car may not even stall out because it's hardwired, which is one of the reasons why the Americans, the American Armed Forces actually have their battleships and like old World War II airplanes and things like that. They have them in their little kind of sort of museum graveyard thing, but they're also able to be activated to active status at any time because, I mean, a 16-inch gun still can shoot 20-some miles inland regardless of anything else. So a battleship is still a very useful tool, even though it might be outdated, and it can still take a heck of a pounding. So it doesn't get affected. It doesn't have the integrated circuits. Starships, on the other hand, like your Maleficent and a Star Destroyer or a Mon Call, Mon Calamari Cruiser, those have integrated circuits. So an ion cannon screws with that. It can be repaired. Like, it basically, as far as I know, it's kind of like, what it does is...
Yeah, it could be repaired, but by the time that they try to repair it, that's why they have so many guns on the ship, because once they shoot the mega cannon at them, they have all the firepower just to shoot them
annihilate them when they have their shields down, because it takes out, like, it doesn't have to deal with the shields. Like, it hits the shields and it fries the shield. Like, it doesn't have to penetrate the shield and hit the hull to actually affect the ship. It affects the ship whether it has shields or not.
Yeah.
Where the turbo lasers have to wear the shield down and punch through it. The ion cannon just fries it. But there's one thing I wanted to say about the Maleficent. I always thought it looked like an old steamboat ship because the two big ion cannons on the side look like the old paddle wheels.
Oh.
So you got the paddle wheel, alright?
Well, it says here that it has 500 turbo lasers and 5-point defense laser cannons.
Okay, hold on a minute. How big is it? Like, the actual length?
I would have put that in there if you wanted to know that. Like, it told me, I just didn't think it was interesting enough.
Well, I mean, that's like a super Star Destroyer is, if I remember right from when I was playing the game or whatever.
The Imperial?
Yeah, a super Star Destroyer.
Yeah. Which,
there's only one of those that got to be owned by the rebels when they became the Republic, and that was Lusanka, but they stole it from the Empire, and then the Empire tried to steal it back. Long story. But they're like, what is it? It's like 6 kilometers from...
They're big.
From the bridge, so the little T-tower that's on there, from the bridge to the tip of the ship, I believe it's like 6 kilometers or something like that, and there's like another 3 kilometers behind it. So they do it in kilometers, and it's like 2.5 kilometers per mile. So basically the ship is roughly around 3 miles long, like a Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And these are just kind of sort of some on-the-fly figures from some things that I remembered and not really doing the hard math.
Well, Republic ships, when they came out with the clones, their Republic ships, they're twice as small as the Imperial Destroyer.
Yeah, the regular Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what is it, 2 long? 2 of them long, and that's a regular Star Destroyer?
Those ships would be a regular Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
But then you didn't think that the length of the Maleficent would...
I don't really think on stuff like this. I just kind of do it.
Well, let's just look it up real fast.
Well, you look it up.
I got you, bro. You can start going. You can
the
go into some more
Maleficent,
details about it.
They also have a thing called the Dodge class boarding ship, which is the kind of escape pod looking thing with the claws that would go to ships and smush them down, which would break the ship. All the escape pods from the battle cruisers, I should say, all the escape pods would be crushed from the Dodge-clad boarding ship. Oh yeah, the Imperial Star Destroyer has 60 ion cannons, and the Maleficent has 500 turbo ion cannons. You hear that?
I spaced out on it. I am sorry because I'm trying to look this up real fast for you.
But it also has 60 ion cannons.
How did they spell the name of that ship?
What, Maleficent? It's male and... Volence.
So it's M-A-L-E.
Volence. Maleficent. Such a pretty name for a brutal death. Because if you're just going around and get hit by that, you're thinking like, what the fuck is this? And then you're gonna get hit by all the turbo laser guns. And then you're like, oh, this is shit. So you're gonna try to hit an escape pod. Oh yeah, so those still work. Escape pods still work if they're getting, but they
probably got some kind of shielding to protect the circuits and stuff for being able to fire out the escape pods or manual release.
No, I think they got out of the escape pods and then got hit by it. I don't know. Should have rewatched the episode, honestly.
This is Malviolence. That's what it's trying to... The Malviolence was the Subjugator class heavy cruiser. Like, I'm on the one from the Wikipedia.
Oh, it has 16 engine units.
16 engine units?
Yeah.
It is 4,845 meters in length.
And you said the other one was like...
a kilometer is 1,000 meters, so that's 4 kilometers, 4.5 kilometers, roughly.
Well, you said the Imperial Star Destroyer was... What?
Well, hang on. Okay, so it's almost 5 kilometers long. Okay, so it's like 2.5 kilometers per mile. So it would be, if it would be 6 long, it would be 3 kilometers. So it's about 2.5, roughly 2.5 miles long. I mean, if it was 6 kilometers, it'd be 3 miles. It'd be about 2.5, roughly.
Okay, so it's shorter than the Imperial.
So it's shorter than the Super Star Destroyer, but it's almost as long as from the tip of the Super Star Destroyer to the bridge. That's a big freaking ship, actually.
Yeah, it's menacing.
That's huge. That's pretty big. Here's some pictures. I will try to have a few cool pictures, if I can, of the ship on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, if you want to go check it out, it's the same name on YouTube. Yeah, it just has pictures on what we're talking about.
We got... Oh, there's a picture of the ion cannon being used. Here's one, I think, from a video game, or the Clone Wars, maybe. There's a good one.
Yeah.
I will have a few pictures of these for the YouTube channel.
So, do you have a ship?
Do I have a ship?
Yep.
Well, you know what? Since I've already done, we're doing naming things. Yeah, I do. I do have one.
And that one will be...
Hang on. I want to get the stuff up here. There we go. Alright, so, technically, this ship was an Imperial ship to begin with. Alright, so it was a bad guy ship. But the New Republic acquired it through victory, and it became a New Republic ship. And the Empire tried to take it back, but failed, and it stayed a New Republic ship. So, since it ended up being on the good guy's side, I'm going to claim it.
Did they do any modifications to it?
As far as I know, not really. They just changed the...
Well, honestly, it doesn't really matter, because I think there's... four types of companies that makes ships.
19,000 meters long. That is the length of the Lusanka. And I'm probably not saying that right, but see, look, she's got the good old Rebel Alliance symbol on there. It became the new Republic symbol.
So is that one of them cities, like the flying city that they had?
No, this is a Super Star Destroyer. Talking big guns. This is the Super Star Destroyer that they built underneath of the crust of Coruscant. The Empire did. And then when the Rebels showed up and were taking Coruscant in the X-Wing series from the Empire and claiming it because it's the capital of the galaxy, and they need that to help legitimize the New Republic, the Lusanka actually fired out of the crust of the city of Coruscant and into space, and they flew off. She's a big girl. Here's one of a space battle. Engages the Reaper. So you got Lusanka, and it engages the Reaper. The Reaper's another Super Star Destroyer.
Okay, so yeah, it is like one of them flying cities.
I mean, well, yeah, technically a regular Star Destroyer is like a flying city.
Yeah, but that has more of a city vibe just from.
Oh yeah, no, it's got like your regular Star Destroyer, kind of like spearhead shape. But then it has your buildings, a section in the center of it that is like the buildings and things that are on there. Yeah, I get your little thing by the city part. It looks like a city. It looks like a city kind of surrounded by. Yes.
Oh.
They actually they got it
but
from.
Kind of fuck off, because those were our ships to begin with.
He's like, we kind of fuck off, because that was our ship to begin with. But yeah, no, it happened in the X-Wing series. And it's been a long time since I read them, and I don't specifically remember how it happened, but they did get it. So, Rolls, it's a command ship, it's a carrier. It was an Imperial prison while it was on Coruscant. They actually had a section of it that was a prison to hold captured rebels and torture them and do things to them. It is a battleship dreadnought. So hang on. So it's 19,000 meters long. So that's 19 kilometers. So if we think about that, it's 2.5 kilometers per mile.
Yeah, that's
so it's over so that's 6 miles long.
I would say 7, yeah, 6, 7.
Because 18,000 or 18 is 6 times 3 or whatever. So fucking. Let's just figure that out.
Or 5 or 6. But I know there's probably like 13, 14 companies that makes both sides of ships, the Republic and the Empire, or the Rebels and the Empire and the Republic and the Separatists. They made both sides of the ships. And I don't know, there's a question that I've seen on the internet saying why doesn't one of the
according to this, okay, we got to drop the zeros. So it would be, according to this, it should be 7.6 miles long.
Okay. So yeah.
Now, if that's not quite exactly accurate, guys, please put a comment somewhere on either Spotify or on the YouTube when the video goes up. Okay, so
it has to be on YouTube.
So on the YouTube, to help us make sure we get it right. Because, we're trying to share this stuff for no fun, but we also want to be giving you guys the correct facts, man.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want to miss information.
It had armament has some heavy turbo laser batteries exchanged for point defense guns. Whoa, man, wait, wow. What happened there? Hold on, pop up ad. Oh, geez, we got lots of information here. Let's get back up to the top, though. But she's going to have, okay, she's got a complement, she's got TIE and LN Starfighters. What's LN Starfighter?
LN Starfighter?
Yeah, it has TIE/LN Starfighters. That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
That's probably just a brand of Starfighter. Because they have different types of TIE fighters. They have like the TIE fighter, but they have different series of the TIE fighter. So LN is just probably another
Might be
Starfighter.
Starfighter of some kind.
Yeah.
It carries the walkers. It carries the AT-ATs. And it carries the AT-STs. And it has an MI-455 modular garrisons. There's the roles I said. It was commissioned half a year ABY, so after the Battle of Yavin, it was commissioned 6 months after that.
Yavin.
It ended up being destroyed 27.5 years after the Battle of Yavin.
Yavin.
Present for battles and events. Mission above Imperial City. Battle of Typhera maybe. Battle of Feta. Battle of Orinda. Battle of Bolaris. See, that one I got. Its affiliation is the Galactic Empire and the New Republic. Yeah, Yazane Izzard. Oh, Izzard. That's right. Izzard was the freaking crazy Imperial lady that was basically gonna try to become the new emperor of the Empire. Yazani Izzard. And then Wedge Antilles. Because, I mean, they took it. The Wet Rogue Squad, like, the X-Wing squadrons took it and kind of sort of, he got forced into becoming a general. He didn't want to be. He got forced into becoming a general. And they ended up having that in there.
I have a comic book referencing a guy named Wedges.
Wedge Antilles. Wedge is the one of the ace pilots of the Rogue Squadron. He was there with Luke on the Death Star. He got half a Death Star kill painted on his starfighter because of the Death Star.
I have no idea about that. All I know is that name was in a comic book I was reading.
Yep, he got a half a Death Star painted on there, half a kill on it. I do believe Luke got the full kill, but there was only like three starfighters, or what was it, 3 or 4 starfighters in the Falcon that flew away from the exploding Death Star. There wasn't very many of them that made it. And quite honestly, since they went and faced down that entire thing, and there's just a couple handfuls of starfighters, you know, it was like 30 starfighters that went into that battle, and that's all they had at that time, and they try to use Rogue One to explain why that is the major battle that happened while the plans were being stolen for the Death Star, that basically their fleet was pretty well messed up, was busy, damaged. So they really only had, you know, the 30 starfighters they sent at the Death Star at the time. But it was known as the Exeter 2. The Lusanka, originally known as Exeter 2, was an Exeter-class star dreadnought built by the Cot Drive Yards. I've never been able to pronounce that right. It's K-U-A-T. I think it's Cot Drive Yards as the sister ship of the Exeter, which was built on Fondor. So basically, the Lusanka is the twin sister of Vader's ship. So
how many did they make?
What this ship has is going to be very similar to what Vader's had.
Do you know how many they made?
If I remember right, Star Destroyers, they only made very few because they were super expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were pumping money into Death Stars instead. So, but I used to only think there was 3, but it is possible because of the Reaper now, and I don't remember which one. In the battle of the first Death Star, they lose, or was it the second Death Star? But the one that the Star Destroyer, it was the second one. The Star Destroyer gets hit, and it ends up turning and crashing into the Death Star's armor.
Yeah. When the guy flew into the what was it?
Into the bridge.
Yeah.
Yep, he got hit with an ion blast, and his ship spun out of control. Yeah. And I think he probably knew he was going to probably die anyway, and maybe tried somehow to maybe direct that if he could, but I don't know if he actually could. But it basically turned his starfighter into a massive warhead to go straight at the enemy's bridge.
Yeah, took it down.
Oh yeah, it can. I mean, there is a secondary bridge, like all of the big, like dreadnought size, like, and other Star Destroyers, and like the Mon Calamari cruisers, and some of them other ones, like all of those usually have a secondary bridge further down into the ship that's in a much more a much harder spot to penetrate and destroy. Because if the main bridge gets taken out, then there's a secondary location to try to control the ship. But when almost all your command is taken out because the entire bridge gets blown to smithereens.
Yeah.
You know, usually what happens is, like, so they got, like, usually, like, starships have a deal that comes down and closes on windows when the decompressurizes and keeps the chamber pressurized.
Yeah. You see that in episode 3 when they're fighting Grievous.
But how is that going to work when the freaking
the whole thing,
the whole front of the bridge is destroyed because a starfighter smashed into it? So, like, most of those people were killed from the explosion of the starfighter, and then on top of it, like, by the time anybody could have got the secondary bridge down below, fired up and going for the ship, it was already too late because the ship had went off course and plummeted itself straight into the Death Star.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have had, like, the Death Star there, like, crew chiefs and things like that further down in, and
it could have
other
still
higher-ranking officers, like lieutenants and things that weren't on the bridge at the time, could have gotten to the secondary bridge and fired it up and started running the ship from the secondary bridge, but there wasn't time.
Yeah, the gravitational pull of the Death Star kind of drooped it in.
I don't think the Death Star has a
that's why it fell.
Well, what I'm thinking...
In space, you don't fall because you're in space.
I'm thinking what happened is it went, right?
But it does have a
in
gravitational pull because it is a small planet. It's basically a moon.
Well, what I'm thinking is that when that happened, they were trying to avoid it, and somebody put in a maneuver for the ship. Somebody input a maneuver into the ship for it to go, like, down because the starfighter was kind of going on an upward angle, and that somebody had managed to get in a maneuver before it hit, but it didn't fully get to actually do anything because it's a huge ship trying to move on a maneuver, and the starfighter took out the bridge, and so the ship just registered that command, and it just stayed on that command and put her straight down into the... Instead of going just down a little bit and being controlled, it ended up just, there wasn't any control, so she just kind of just kept going.
Well, we can...
That's what I think actually happened.
We weren't on the ship. We don't know what happened on the
Good
command.
thing we weren't on the ship.
Yeah,
We were on the ship, we'd be a couple of freaking ghosts just talking about some battle, and I'd just be looking at you like, why did you ever get me to join this freaking empire? I don't know how you managed to pull that off.
They had good coffee.
They had good coffee.
I've seen some flyers of some cute dogs. I couldn't resist.
So I'm trying to, but it was Yzain Izzard's private prison. She did have that prison on there, and that really did matter. It was a thing in the X-Wing series. There were some after the Back to War.
I know, the same company that made the Imperial Star Destroyer, and they also made the Han Solo ship, and they made all their ships that they made interchangeable. So, you were talking about the Han Solo ship, on how...
Yeah, they built that on Corellia.
Yeah, on how interchangeable the whole layout was. Like, you can change the outside and the inside. You could put more guns or equipment on the ships, or put different stuffs on ships, like attachments.
Well, Wikipedia
they did that with all their...
to give me that information.
What information? About what?
Armament.
Yeah, I think there's like 14 companies that makes the droids and weapons and everything else.
What is bigger than a Star Destroyer? In the Star Wars universe, the term Super Star Destroyer. So a regular Star Destroyer. Okay, since it was similar to the Exeter, is Lusanka a cannon? Oh, is it canon? Never mind.
This guy doesn't know what canon and legends and the other one is. I think it's canon, legends, and I don't know. I think they have like a whole different like side pocket universe that stuff is in. I don't know what that's called.
It could carry more than 5,000 weapons. At least 12 TIE fighter squadrons. At least 200 other combat and support ships. 3 prefabricated garrison bases. And enough stormtroopers and AT-ATs impose the Empire's will on any star system. So, yeah. Basically, all that would need to happen to take Earth is for one Super Star Destroyer to... I mean, even if we got more advanced and had laser technology and stuff like that, like, one Super Star Destroyer show up and we can be taken by the Empire.
Yeah.
The entire planet.
It's not going to take much.
Well, I mean, just 5,000, so most of that's going to be turbo lasers and ion cannons that it's talking about. Because that's how I had to enter it, so it would just give me the stats.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's even say that it's half and half. That's 2,500 turbo lasers. And we're talking Star Destroyer turbo lasers. You can literally blow, like, pummel the crap out of stuff from space with a Star Destroyer. It's like huge artillery. It makes our big gun battleships look like they're shooting spitwads. Okay? So, the Super Star Destroyer show up, and it can just level a city within minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
That's why they're kind of feared to everybody. That's why everybody just went with what the Empire was doing or joined them. It was mostly terror. That's how they kind of...
But so that was a little bit on the Lusanka. So, you're next...
look up the company that made the Imperial Star Destroyer and the Millennium Falcon, because they also made the AT-ATs. The big camel things on Hoth and so many other planets, but that's what a lot of people are going to associate them with. But they also made the AT-ATs interchangeable as well. Like, they can have different...
What company made the Millennium Falcon?
And they also had a...
Corellian Engineering Corp. is the company that made the Millennium Falcon.
Is that the same people that made the Imperial Star Destroyer? Because I think it is.
No, the Imperial Star Destroyers are made at Kot and Fondor, but I can look again.
I know there's a corporation.
What company made the Star Destroyers for the Empire? Yeah, Kot Drive Yards, later Kot Intrelli Engineering.
Yeah.
Intralli Engineering. So no, the two didn't make. They were made by different companies.
Oh, I think that company made the AT-ATs as well.
Yes, I do believe this company made the AT-ATs, but we can go ahead and just.
I knew that one of those linked up.
Ask it again. What company made the AT-AT walkers in Star Wars? Yep. Kot Drive Yards.
Yeah, they made their
auxiliary vehicles, 5 speeder bikes. Yeah, see, I like the AT-ATs. In actuality, I mean, they're kind of big and dumb and slow. And there are a few restrictions on actual all-terrain that it can do.
Well, they did make a lot of variations for with the AT-ATs that they did with like every other ship that they did. That they had alterations with it, so you can interchange it by what.
Yeah, you could have a more specialized. You know, instead of like just a general purpose. Why, you want to talk about the AT-AT? Is that what you're after?
Well, the ATIC is what kind of got my eye. The ATIC is AT-AT, but they took the back of the AT-AT off and they put a mounted gun on the back of it. You could look up a picture.
ATIC?
Yeah, ATIC with the it's AT with the dash.
IC.
Yeah.
Okay. All-terrain ion cannon.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool for combat reasons. That kind of got my eye, but yeah, they had different stuff for the AT-ATs. And they also had a lot of different interchangeable stuff with the...
That would let you have an ion cannon that... from a planet that could shoot at a starship in space.
Yeah. It
has ground artillery.
Yeah, if like ships were coming after you like they were on Hoth, they would have better...
Okay, so far
guns.
we talked about the... Malevolence, or Maleficent.
The Maleficent.
The Lusanka. The ATIC. And the AT-AT a little bit.
Do you know if they, that company made the...
I'm sure that...
Republic stuff as well?
The what?
The Republic stuff? Like, you know, the walkers that they had? For the clones?
So the original walkers?
Because they also had those in...
Who made the clone walkers in Star Wars?
Probably Caminos. But I don't think they made the weapons.
What walkers did the clones use? All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer, the ATTE. That's what it was. I couldn't remember the second designation.
ATTE?
Yeah, so it's AT-TE.
Yeah, it's in the AT family. But some droids that you don't probably don't know about is the little mouse droid, the MSE-6 droid.
Rothana Heavy Engineering. Their all-terrain and tactical enforcer became the principal battle tank of the Grand Army of the Galactic Republic during Clone Wars. So it wasn't caught.
It wasn't the same company?
Nope.
Oh. But did that company...
I also found out in the grand scheme of things about... I don't actually know if that actually happened or not. But I think so. Okay, so the company, not Surosub, but... We're going to go with this. Because I cannot remember the name right now.
Well,
who made the X-Wing in Star Wars? Incom. Okay, so... I was watching something, and since we got on companies, the Incom company was trying to develop... I mean, they actually were originally being contracted by the Empire to make starfighters. And there's a scene in the third or number 6. I always call it the third movie because I mean in the actual order of how they came out.
Yeah.
In the actual order of how they came out, it was A New Hope, Return of the Empire Strikes Back,
Empire.
and Return of the Jedi. Right. Then you have the other prequels that come out after. So I always say the third because for me, when I was little, it was those 3, and so for me, it's the third. And then 1, 2, and 3 are 4, 5, and 6.
Well, maybe
like
it's
the series that they came out, not the series and how they fit in the story.
Maybe it's 7 because they had a solo story in Rogue One, which could be combined as like a full movie in the saga. So then it would be 7. So that means they have 5 more movies.
We're talking
out.
about Lucas, not Disney.
We're talking about all of it. Star Wars is Star Wars.
Disney, yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, all right.
Well,
I'm talking about the original 6 and why I always go and say the first one, the second one, and the third one, and I'm talking about the old 3 instead of the prequel 3, and that's just because when I was little and I first started watching it, 4, 5, and 6 was...
Yeah. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then...
So, the Incom Corporation is the one that did it. Well, they were originally contracted by the Empire to make a starfighter, and they were actually coming up with the X-Wing. And somebody... I'm not quite sure or whatever, but... This guy found a silhouette of a starfighter in the video of the Return of the Jedi. Okay? And he's like, well, it kind of looked like an X-Wing, but it also looked like a very specific... the silhouette fit better to a very specific X-Wing. The actual first X-Wing that they made that nobody could fucking fly because it was just too complicated. the X-Wing actually, that X-Wing, the wings, the S-foils, didn't just open up into like that standard X that we see on an X-Wing.
Yeah.
Like they could open up and like way open to a perfect X, or even sharper.
And what is
instead of just being, so they'd be irregular closed, and they could open up into a lot of degree here.
Yeah.
But that X-Wing, they ended up figuring out that this other company was trying to basically steal their information, like the Separatists, so they could build this starfighter, and they were trying to steal the information from Incom, and it all got found out or whatever, and it got back to Incom, and they're trying to figure it out, and then the guy at Incom, the leader, he actually fired up because they wanted to hook the brain directly into the starfighter, but it was killing the guys, and so he actually managed to himself bond with the starfighter. He decided to do it, and put the helmet on and have his brain plugged into the starfighter.
Oh.
Like interfaced, so he could fly the ship more instinctual instead of like by controls.
Could you still like get that out, or is that just him now?
He wasn't able to come back out of it.
So he knew.
Nobody could even do it to begin with in the first place because it was frying their brains when they were just trying to hook into the test system. And they were just getting their brains fried. And he managed to actually get into it and put the system in and get into it and hook up to it and fly the starfighter how it was meant to be flown. And then the Empire decides to cancel the contract, and then they were going to cancel Incom, like destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
And the that X-Wing, like, did a whole bunch of destruction, fucked them up and stuff. But Incom actually had to reset up another base. But they were able to get the information, the data, from the computer program that they were running with the starfighter, and get the data from that, and able to build an algorithm to help other pilots fly the X-Wing, because it's a really, really advanced starfighter. It's supposed to be. So, that computer program is what helps them to actually be able to control the ship, and they don't. So you can stick a average pilot into an X-Wing, and he's going to fly it better than if you stuck him into a A-Wing or Y-Wing or a TIE or a Z-95 Headhunter or some other starfighter. He's going to fly it better because the ship actually has kind of the computer brains I was telling you about. The starfighters have a brain in them.
Yeah, all droids and ships have an AI system for different reasons, for either to get commands better or like some just like basic survival. What it is with the spaceships is it's not necessarily that it's trying to control anything or anything like it. It's not like a AI like R2 or C-3PO. Well, they said
it's an
AI like that, but they do have codes blocking them off from certain things, so they only have that direct motive. Instead of having all that other AI stuff, like having like a conscious and whatnot, they would have more computeristic stuff, but it would still be considered AI, but...
Yeah, it's artificial intelligence, sort of, but it's like a super fancy program that helps them be able to pilot the starfighter.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And they got that through this guy. But supposedly there's a silhouette of that starfighter, that very first X-Wing that's there at the battle. I don't know for sure. I mean, it was a guy analyzing video footage. But he did, due to that, I found out the whole little story about that, and that Incom was originally trying to make a starfighter for the Empire, and then ended up, their company got destroyed by the Empire. They made a new they made a new base for their company, redid their company, and started selling the Z90 or the T-65B X-Wings on the market for super cheap. And why they called it a T-65?
You're like 18,000 credits, I think, for the X-Wing series.
But why they called it a T-65 is because of like your T-47.
What's that?
That's the airspeeder that they used. The T designation was a speeder. It was a non-threatening ship for work and things like that. So they called it a T-65 because on an invoice of like a ship manifest or something, the Empire would see this, would see, okay, well, it's got a bunch of like equipment for working. Because the T-47 airspeeder was originally designed to haul stuff, and they turned it into a modified one with laser cannons on it to fight.
Yeah.
So it was originally actually just a hauler that they turned into a attack speeder. So the T designation is for like an airspeeder that's a workman's machine, and so they called it the T-65 so they could get under the radar of the Empire. Because the Empire is just going to look at the invoice on the ship. Most of them will be like, okay, it's a bunch of mining equipment or something.
Yeah.
And it's actually super badass starfighters.
Yeah, because I don't know if they're just going through paperwork, so all they're seeing is numbers. They're not seeing the ships or the cargo.
Exactly.
And in that universe, they probably are very equipped with the series of types of ships. Well, the other one I want to talk about is the TIE Hunter. Because I thought it looked really cool.
The TIE Hunter. Let me look it up.
Yeah. It has twin ion engines, which is the basic format for a lot of ships in a smaller size. It has a hyperdrive and a protective shields.
It's the one with the...
Lucy?
It's the one with the... It's the one with the wings. The solar panels.
Well, yeah, a lot of the TIE fighters have solar panels. Or
it's the one with the solar panels the other way. So an interceptor, they close in around the eyeball.
Oh, yeah?
The TIE Hunter has them...
Oh, okay, yeah.
X'd, like an X-Wing.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, the TIE fighters, the wings of the ships, they were solar panels for energy.
Yeah, supposedly to help them fly, but I always thought that weird because...
I don't know if they're shooting guns, because the original TIEs, they don't really have anything. They don't even have a breathable atmosphere in the TIE. That's why they have the helmets.
They don't have very much. They do, but it's not a very big life support system. It's very small. That's the reason why they carry that extra. So there is some. So if there's a leak or something that happens, like with the suit, there is some, but I take it you watched the thing on the ties that I sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool video, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the TIE Hunter could be submerged underwater. Well, most ships can be, which I'm just saying could be, because they would have to be airtight to be in space. So
Yeah, most of the starships should be able to go into...
Yeah, because if they can't go underwater, they can't go in space, right?
Yeah.
Because if water's leaking through, then their ship's gonna implode.
Yeah, they're gonna lose air in space and die.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I don't know why they would put that on their thing then.
Because a lot of spaceships may be able to go in water, but they're not real well at dealing with
they'll
because
probably
it's
like
more
malfunction.
drag. There's more drag on them. Like in space, it's a freaking vacuum. There's no friction, so you can have a ship shaped any way you want in space, and it'll go the same without any worry. But water has a significant drag compared to space. And air has a lot of drag compared to space too, but nothing like water. So this ship is able to go in water. They mention that probably because it is designed very well to go in water.
Yeah, it says you can be submerged underwater for 2 days. So I'm guessing you can't do that with a longer period of time with a lot of other ships being submerged underwater, because that would have to also account for like the supplies, like the food supplies that you can carry on the ship.
And okay, like think of a T-65 X-Wing. Its engines have fans, right?
Yeah.
So that's not very good for underwater.
I think
This ship doesn't have that design, so it can go underwater much better. And probably fuel too, like how much fuel or what, like, because you remember it's solar panels, so if it's underwater, it's probably got a very small fuel tank.
Yeah.
It's probably got enough fuel for 2 days underwater before it would have to surface and get power from strictly solar energy.
Yeah, because it is a more blocky ship, so it would have more. I don't know. I would think that it would have like engine for like life support. You know?
Yeah, this one probably has some life support and everything else.
Yeah.
Because it's most of the specialized ties have extras.
Yeah, I think this one and the other one I have on my list, they have life support.
Alright, so I think we're going to have to call it for the day. This is Skyriver Cantina with Zane Royals and Dan the Man, and we'll catch you guys next time. And don't forget to check us out on the YouTube channel, also named Skyriver Cantina.
Yeah, they're going to have pictures of what we're talking about, so you're not completely in the dark on all the nerd shit we're talking about. See you next time.